It's not just men trapping women with babies and stuff. It's fathers trapping daughters into taking care of them. God, this comment makes me so mad. So this comment's attached to a video of all the ways my ex tried to trap me. And they play on all your trauma responses. And especially if they know you got daddy issues, they're exploiting every single one of those. But let's talk about dads. These dads, y'all, men are so afraid of dying alone that first they try to get women to marry them, they baby trap them, they do anything to get women. They need us. They need us and our free labor, our therapy, our bodies, our caretaking stuff, right? But it's not just men that date us. It is literally our own fathers. I've talked about this before. If the wife dies first, if the mom dies first, or the wife, because it could be a stepmom or whatever, they're going to target the daughter next. Now, mind you, a lot of times the reason that wife died first is because he unalived her slowly through her nervous system, right? It is very stressful to live with a king baby, and especially a very an abusive one. And you gotta walk on eggshells, right? But dad is gonna always, men are always gonna find someone to take care of them. And if they don't, they just tap out and die. They would rather die than take care of themselves. Made videos on that too. They will literally just refuse to take medicine, and they don't die because they just love their wife so much. They die because they're lazy. But dads, this comment, the same tactics that abusive husbands and boyfriends use, that dads will use on their daughters. Like this one saying, comment says, my dad, he wanted me to be fat so I can't find a husband and stay and take care of him. Right? Why do you think so many of these dads are like, yeah, all men suck? My dad did that. All men are rapists and unalivers. They're terrible people. That's all he talked about all the time, is how terrible men are. Meanwhile, he did more damage to me than any man in my life ever did. He also constantly commented on my weight. He policed my weight. So many fathers are obsessed with their daughter's weight. And I don't think it's about weight. I think it's about control. What difference does it make how much I weigh? It's about control, and it's about image management, right? You are just an extension of their ego. They don't even see their own daughters as human beings. Of course, they don't see other women, all the women they've screwed over, their wives and whatever. They just see women as a means to an end, a resource that just never stops giving. But that even their own daughters, they don't see as human beings. The only time they're protective is because they see us as their property. They will use the same sabotaging, manipulative methods to break us down so we don't have confidence, so that we'll take care of their ass when they got no one else to take care of them. Or even if it's not to take care of them, just sit next to them. You know, my dad used to always just want me to sit next to him in his chair. He'd sit and drink all day or all night. You know, he'd start later in the day. And if I wanted to go out, I mean, this is when I was in college and when I was 30, my 30s, going back and visiting him. Anytime I hung out with him, he's like, where are you going? I was like, I don't know, I'm just going out. And he's like, when are you coming back? He'd like always want to know where I'm coming back. And he'd guilt me for not wanting to hang out with him. Then when I hung out with him, he didn't talk to me. He never asked me questions. If he talked to me, he talked at me. He'd make jokes, right? Because they just want an audience member. They want someone to laugh. They want their little muse. But I swear, my dad didn't even see me as a person. He just saw me for what I could do for him. Even though he had a wife to take care of him, he saw me as somebody who validated him. One of the things that he said all the time was that he was such a proud dad. Of what? What'd you do? You should be proud of your daughters and the fact that I succeeded despite you. But like, you should not be a proud dad. You should be a very ashamed dad. But that's what he clung till the day he died. He's a very proud father. But if he didn't have a wife, when he got sick, I have no doubt that I would have felt obligated to go take care of him because of the way he had raised me, to always put him first. And then we wonder why we get in relationships where we just orbit around men. It starts with dad. So decentering men, a big part of my decentering men journey was healing dad trauma. And we minimalize it as like daddy issues. And that is a judgment on us instead of a judgment on them. Why do I have daddy issues? You were supposed to give me confidence. You were supposed to make me believe in myself. You were supposed to make me have a high standard so that men didn't treat me like crap. And then look what happened to me. I almost got by one. With the father wound, man. I mean, I think a lot of people act out their relationship stuff with either of their parents, right? Whatever gender, in their romantic relationships, in their friendships, in their work life, right? But for me, that father wound, that was where my healing began. Looking at it, dealing with it, and even standing up to my dad. Learning how to talk to him Like, I'm an adult, not a kid. Saying no to him, not staying with him when I came into town, I stayed with other friends. Like, all these things, I like literally setting boundaries for myself around him, because he'll never respect boundaries, but I respect my own boundaries. That is where my decentering men started, from that place. Now, I still have love for my dad because he's my dad. And I look like him. I don't want to hate myself every time I look in the mirror. And I'm very proud of some of the things he did in his life to break cycles of violence in the family he grew up in. And forgiving him, or at least empathizing with him, was a big part of my recovery. And at the same time, letting myself be pissed. Acknowledging that what he did and how all the stuff he did to me was so cruel. That also, facing that was a big part of my decentering men. Because if I can't admit that, the faults in my own father, how am I ever going to see clearly the faults in the men that I date? Red flags, the signs that they're going to treat me the same way. So much of this stuff starts with dad, and so many of us have gaping father wounds because they just don't even know how to see us. They don't know how to love us because they don't even love themselves. And that's why my healing was learning that I can't help this man, I can't fix this man, and it's not my freaking job. I can love him, but I have to love myself more. And when I had that attitude towards my dad, I started to take that attitude out into my dating life. And that changed